Elvie here with a question and answer video for you today. This is only the second time I made a video like this. The first time I felt didn't go very well. I wasn't as natural as I wanted to be, so hopefully this one goes a little bit better. So I get a lot of great questions in my comment sections in my videos, or people DM me on Instagram all the time with a lot of great questions. So in this video, I will answer some of them, and let's just go ahead and get started. All right, so the first question is, how do I submit thicker cards for grading in semi-rigids to PSA? I think this is a great question because you don't want your thicker cards being pinched into that semi-rigid holder for an extended period of time. Because you know how PSA, the backlog, it's taking forever right now. So you don't want your thick cards get those corners smushed in that semi-rigid. So I have a little trick, and as I talk, I will show you the video of me actually performing the trick. So you take a semi-rigid and take a box cutter or X-Acto knife and just cut a slit at the very bottom. Don't have the card in the semi-rigid before you do the slit. So cut the slit. That's going to give your card a lot of breathing room. And then go ahead and insert the card. Make sure it looks great. And then all you do is cover the slit with some painter's tape. That should work great. I haven't had a problem. No thick card has been damaged from that technique that I've seen so far. Okay, next question. I like this question, and it also makes me a little sad at the same time. Who was your biggest player miss? An investment in a card that didn't pan out. So I really like this question because I kind of started my YouTube channel years ago, kind of exploring and sharing my losses. Everyone at the time just were sharing their gains, their hits, their big pulls, their profits, everything. I wanted to be, transparent and honest. So a lot of my content was geared upon sharing my losses. So it's fun to kind of go for a full circle and answer this question. Anyway, the answer is Trevor Story. Unfortunately, I did my research. I really did. I thought his trajectory was going great. And this was probably peak COVID, 2020, 2021, unfortunately. And what I did is I bought this Trevor Story card, a beautiful card. It's numbered 1 out of 5. Numbered out of 5 in the world. His first Bowman Chrome Auto Rookie, graded BGS 9.5. I bought this for around $3,600. Can you imagine buying a freaking Trevor Story card for $3,600? But I thought I had nice sound logic at the time, but I didn't account for injuries. And unfortunately, Trevor Story got injured. He got that big contract with the Boston Red Sox, which is great because it's a nice hobby market. I thought the value would go up, but injuries, underperformed, and I'm stuck with those cards. I just figured I'm going to go ahead and go down with the ship. I did buy, also at the time, a 1-of-1 Trevor Story. It's also 2011 Bowman. It's the only one. At the time, my Trout cards were just going to the moon. And I figured this could be a grail card for someone to collect when Trevor Story was performing really well. Potential Hall of Fame career. He was really young at the time. And like I said, I did my research, but I didn't account for injuries. So always be aware of that. There you go. That's my biggest player miss. I'm assuming they're maybe worth 10% of what I paid, if that. So maybe 300 on that. 300 on this one, maybe, and maybe 200 on this. I have no idea. I may be able to regain some of that money back if he stays healthy and plays pretty well for the Red Sox for the next couple of years. So fingers crossed. Let's go, Trevor Story. Okay, this next question is another good one. So they ask, I've been winning auctions. I pay, and then the seller never ships out the card. I assume this is on eBay, most likely. And then they have to open a case to get their money back. Oh, I hate this so much. So how to avoid this? I use a trick. So say I win a card for a great deal, auction style, and maybe it's around a $500 card. That's a lot of money for a lot of people, and me too. And I don't want them not to ship it out. I don't want my money tied up for a couple weeks when I have to involve eBay and try to get my money back. So what I usually do is I win the auction, and then the next day, I don't pay yet. The next day, I just I message the eBayer, the seller, and I say, hey, I'm really excited to receive this card. I just want to make sure everything is in order, and you will be able to ship out as soon as I make payment. And that's all you got to do. And then just say, thanks so much, be really friendly. And then if you don't hear back from them in 2 or 3 days, then I say they were never going to ship out the card. They never planned to. They didn't want to sell the card for that low, the ending auction price, and they just didn't want to sell for that price. And this will save you that 2-week headache where your money is in limbo if you had paid. So that's just a little advice. I hate when that happens. It's the worst, I know. Okay, the next question is, what are good strategies or places to pick up solid gradable singles for grading? So the main answer I'm going to give you is card shows. You know, there's something about being at a card show where you can actually pick up the card you potentially could purchase and look at the condition. Flip it over. Go ahead and ask the dealer if you can take it out of the case. Try to find some nice light. Look at the centering. Look at the surface really closely. The back corners. Back corners very important. You can't beat that. Also, card shops. You can do the same thing as in card shows. You get to actually see the card in person, obviously. Online, I like check out my cards, ComC. So go ahead and check out that website because they have really nice high resolution images where you can really see the back corners. I can't stress that enough, and the centering. So if you're going to buy a raw card, hoping to grade from online, ComC or eBay, really look at the pictures as close as you can before purchasing. And I think that'll give you a little bit of edge. Hopefully you will receive some gradable cards. Okay, the next one is, what are the details, the cost of those graded card binders you use in your videos? So they are referring to these big binders that I store my PC cards and my sets I'm creating. This is the 2003 Gold Refractor set. So you get them on Amazon. I figure that's the best way to get them. And the cost is anywhere between $30 to $40. And they hold around, I'd say 60 cards, give or take. And they do come with the pages already in there. So that's nice. But yeah, it's nice because it kind of brings you back to your childhood a little bit. You're able to flip through and see your PC cards whenever you want. So there you go. And they do, it's mainly for PSA, but they will fit SGC because, you know, how much bigger SGC slabs are, and BGS are a little thicker too. But I was able to get them in there okay. So there you go. So like I said, just go on Amazon and search graded card binder, and different brands should pop up, different prices, stuff like that. Okay, next question. So if you are new to the hobby, wanting to try and make a little money, where would you start? Okay, so I know a lot of content creators probably are saying don't even get into this hobby to make money, you're just not going to make money. But no, there's still a lot of interest. There's ways to make money. You just got to work hard and be as diligent and smart as you can. So say you go ahead and start, it could be $500, but we'll just use, say you start with $2,000. I think it's a good investment startup amount. So what I would do, this is just me personally, I would take that $2,000, I would take $1,500 of that and go ahead and go to a card show and buy cards in the range of $20 to $100, singles that look really clean. You're able to see them, like I said, potential. They all kind of have potential to be 10s, or at least 9s. Then go ahead and take that leftover $500 and grade them with PSA. And then I would say, go ahead and sell those PSA slabs on eBay and rinse and repeat. And hopefully each time you'll be increasing your profits, and you'll be able to buy more, grade more, just keep going. Hopefully that works. Okay, this next question is an interesting one. It's why do I, Little Victories, have lower gem rates than other revealers here on YouTube? first off, ouch, but I think there is a reason for this. So I don't do a lot of ultra modern cards, and I think a lot of revealers on YouTube do a lot of ultra modern, and you should be, the new cards, you should be having a high gem rate. I would say you should shoot for over 75% on the newer cards because it should be fresh. But also, I think they were more, so I've been grading cards for like 20 years, and over the years I've gotten to see that PSA and other grading companies, but mainly PSA, have become very strict in their grading, especially with junk wax cards. I love grading 1980s and 1990s, or cards that are very condition sensitive. I enjoy submitting those cards, so that's why my gem rates maybe aren't as great. But like I said, they grade way more strict, I would say, since COVID. So anything pre-COVID, the grades were a little bit easier. I'd say nowadays they grade probably 1 or 2 grades tougher, especially on the junk wax era. For example, I bought this 1986 Reggie White Topps rookie card off Column C. It was graded a PSA 8, and when I received it, I noticed it was an old cert label, so it was probably graded in like 2002 or whatever. Anyway, I looked at the card, and all the corners, there was so much wear and edge chipping. I couldn't believe it even got an 8. So, you know, nowadays, I think that card would have been graded a 6. So there is a big discrepancy there. So my point is, you know, I've been grading so long, my eye may be a little more lenient on my own stuff, because back in the day, they did grade easier. But I think nowadays, if you entered the hobby or came back into the hobby during COVID, the boom, I think your eye might be even a little bit more strict, a little bit better than mine, or yeah, a little more strict on what you submit to PSA, which is a good thing, especially nowadays. They do grade a little tougher. So that's kind of why maybe I have a little bit lower gem rates, but overall I'm pretty happy with them. All right, this next question is kind of a nice segue from the last question we talked about. Do you think PSA's more recent harsher grades have bled over to SGC as well? And I would say, from experience, I do grade with SGC also a lot. I would say yes, they have. I've noticed, I don't think it's a coincidence, but since the parent company, the parent company of PSA, Collectors, bought out SGC, I've noticed the grades have been a little more on par with PSA, a little more strict, a little tighter than they used to be, not as focused on eye appeal as they used to be, and a little more on PSA standards. So yeah, I do think PSA's grades have, stricter grades have bled over into SGC a little bit. And that's okay. I think it should be a little bit on par with PSA. All right, let's do a little more fun question. I'm gonna go ahead and give you, what are my top 5 ballpark sports stadium foods? So number 1, I'm gonna go with ice cream in a mini helmet. Doesn't even matter what flavor ice cream. I mean, all flavors of ice cream are pretty good. But as in my childhood, I loved these little mini helmets. I collected them. I loved them, brought them home, and I would eat cereal out of them. So yeah, if you have kids, I would recommend busting these out and letting your kids use them for cereal and ice cream. It's really fun. Here's some from my childhood. Some Padres, Pirates, Blue Jays. So yeah, that's my number 1. No question, ice cream in a helmet. Number 2 is probably stadium nachos. Can't go wrong. Number 3 is a hot dog. Even the cheap hot dogs, I don't mind. If it's at a ballpark, everything tastes better. Probably number 4 is red licorice, the red ropes. That brings back memories for when I used to play Little League. You know, I don't know, because my son and daughter, they're not as into sports. My son is more of a gamer. So I haven't got to experience it. Nowadays, they still have, after the game, they had a little mini concession stand with the best smells of cheap hot dog and red ropes. It was the best. And after the game, you got a little ticket that you would hand over and get one item. Hopefully, let me know if your kids, the Little League still has that. Hopefully they do that, because that was one of the best parts. It was amazing. So that was number 4. Number 5 is probably just old-fashioned peanuts. Nothing like cracking open some shells and just eating some peanuts. So that's my number 5. Comment down below your best favorite stadium food. The next question is, am I being too strict with my cards before grading? Why am I not receiving as many mint and gem mint cards off eBay? So I don't think you're being too strict. I think it's just the natural progression of how things are going, because everyone is grading cards. PSA, is grading 1.3 million cards per month. So that just tells me that everyone is holding on to, submitting their gem mint copies. So that means most likely, especially the more expensive cards that you buy raw online, there's probably a flaw to them, and that's the reason why they didn't submit it for grading. So I don't think you're being too strict. I think it's just the sign of the times. It's going to be less and less raw copies out there that could get those nice gem mint quality grades. So yeah, there you go. Okay, next question is, what do you think about arena card grading? So I think it's the Derek Jeter owned grading company. So I've never used them. I won't use them. I just use PSA and SGC as my second option. But I have bought some arena card graded slabs before, hoping to crack them out and resubmit to PSA. And I found every time I crack them out, there are flaws to them, and they're all have been undergraded. So I think they overgrade. And I watched some YouTube content of creators opened up these kind of instant repacks. It's almost like a swipe to reveal. You can open the pack online. Anyway, I watched some of that, and I couldn't believe it. Their Arena Club are offering these repacks, right? And people are opening them and getting arena card graded cards. It just feels like a conflict of interest, right? Because if you're Arena Club, couldn't you just put a high grade on a card and it makes it a little more valuable for the repacks? I don't know. It just doesn't feel quite right for me there. But my advice is just stick with PSA or SGC. Okay, next question. Ever thought about having your subscribers assist you with finding your card you need for your PC sets? So I do build a lot of sets, not as much as Nat Turner, and not as high end, but I would say no. I don't have any urge for people to help me out. I really appreciate it. It's awesome. But I honestly think the hunt for the cards, trying to find them on your own, is the best part of collecting. I love hunting on my own and finding them out in the wild, getting good deals, making offers myself. It's really fun. Now, if I'm only 1 or 2 cards away in the set and I really can't find it all, then yeah, I'm all for hopefully someone helping me out. And I really appreciate that if they find that card. So there you go on that one. Okay, let's do another fun question thrown in, get to know me a little bit more. What are my top 5 favorite bands, music? I think this is a good question. So it's going to be too hard to give an order on this. So in no particular order, I'm going to give you my top bands that I like. I'm probably going to go Red Hot Chili Peppers. There's some really good albums they've created. Their music, their sounds so unique. I would say Weezer. I love Pinkerton album and the Blue album. That's timeless for me, Weezer. I would say Coldplay. I really love the Parachutes album, and I was so lucky when I was I must have been high school or college, early college, but I got to go to a Coldplay concert before they blew up for like $15-20 at the smallest theater in Portland, Oregon. Front row, just walk up, see him. It was just incredible. I'll always remember that. It's probably my best concert I've been to. And then I would say Foo Fighters. No question, there's some really good music there. And maybe probably end with Nirvana. That was from my childhood, just listening to those albums still. I introduced them to my kids, and they like Nirvana still. It's incredible. It held up like that. So there you go. Let me know down below, comment down below what your favorite bands are. I'd like to know. Okay, next question. How do you justify grading cards for your PC? So yeah, that makes sense. If you're gonna hold on to a card and not sell it, then you don't necessarily need to grade it, because you don't need to create that extra value by grading a card. But if you're like me, you just really love grading cards, because it, for one thing, the slab protects the cards, just extra added security, just in case something happens, because I think mostly it's waterproof and tamper-proof. And I wish, wouldn't that be cool if it was somehow fireproof? Also, I love building sets on the PSA set registry. Being grading cards allows me to do that, and also it really does create a little more liquidity, in just in case I do need to sell, in case emergencies happen. You know, life happens, crazy stuff happens with families, hospital bills, any crazy house projects or stuff that happens. Anyway, it's nice to have that extra value from a graded card to sell if you need to. Plus, you can't put a price on happiness, and if grading cards makes you happy, going through them, holding them, collecting them, then you gotta go for it. That's the reason. Okay, the last question I think is an important one. Interesting too. So the question is, would having a ton of money, like being a millionaire, make collecting cards less fun or more fun? So this is interesting. If someone wants to send me $1 million, then I think I'll be able to test this question out. But in all seriousness, it's a tough one to answer. But I will say this: I worked so hard. I was 15 years old, and I really wanted a first car, my first car ever. And I worked so hard, and I earned the money myself to buy my first car. And I bought it, and I loved it. And out of all the cars from now till back then that I've owned, there's one car that I love the most. There's no question. It's that first car I actually earned. So I would say I would lean more towards having less money makes collecting a little more rewarding and a little more fun. Just because things mean a little more to you when you earn them, when you work hard, as that car example. So that's kind of where I'm at there. That's what I tell myself, being not rich. So yay, we're enjoying the card hobby a little more because we don't have as much money. So yeah, I guess I don't really know the answer to that one, but I just know my feelings. All right, there you go. I appreciate everyone for watching. Comment down below with some questions that might be good for future question and answer videos. And I should be back with a lot of reveals. I have a feeling I have about 15-20 orders out. PSA taking forever, which they're all going to pop all at once, I know. And I have a couple SGC orders as well. So stay tuned for a lot of reveals. And everyone, I appreciate you watching my channel, and have a great day.